on a regular basis that we see algorithms changed, and we kind of go, right, does that mean that we have to constantly keep changing our patterns?
So we can go blaze a trail or we can sink with the Titanic, but we're not aiming for the Titanic. There's no icebergs where we're going. In the room, 52 Jokers Wild.
And one of the things that we were starting to talk about a short time ago was this idea of resilience, because we know that there comes a point where everything seems quite hard and you kind of feel, should I just be giving up and quitting? And that's the moment you need to keep on pushing through. But as you said a short time ago, you also have to know when actually this is as far as it should go and we're not going anywhere and we need to take a slightly different direction. And it's trying to get that balance right to work out, well, when is it the time to give up, or when is it the time to just keep on pushing through that pain? Your thoughts, Garvin? I just gave up there and just threw it all onto you there.
You gave it to me too early. I'm sitting here. He's arguing over. He wants more airtime. Yo, Garvin, I need equal sort of time on the show. It's not the Garvin show. Therefore, I'll chat. And he goes off, does a 35-second something, and chucks it straight back to me. I was looking around, looking for a drink, gathering my thoughts. No, I'm in the middle of it. I don't even have my thoughts together. But I do. Because we're constantly, every single day of the week, because we're entrepreneurs. We're in business. There's lots of stuff being thrown at us from the universe, internally, externally, from the environment, from the economy, from colleagues, from suppliers, from customers, from future relationships, from people we don't even know yet. And we're thinking of all this is, you could take it all on board and just drown in possibility and potential, great, but in possible problems and risks and this and that. Is it all worth it? And is it, or should we be seeking out the simple life of go get a job? Even in this tough time, a simple something that you don't have to worry. I had a friend here earlier on and he has a job and it's well paid in middle management, and when the day is over, he can kick off the shoes and pull on Netflix and doesn't have to think about ending till tomorrow. Well, I'm saying to him, as soon there is no time. It doesn't stop. Because we're coming from 95 different directions. If it's not one thing, it's another thing. And actually, if there's nothing going on, we should be doing something else. We should be thinking about what we should be doing. What are we meant to do next? How are we going to grow it? We should be strategizing. We should be planning. It's what else are we not doing that we're not thinking of? So it's this resilience to keep on, not just keep on going. It's to keep on going, keep on growing, keep on improving, keep on making better, keep on learning. Not just keep on going and turning up and putting up and just making do and existing. Now I got a little thing I'm going to read here again, which reminds me a little bit of the why of the entrepreneur as well. And it says, a ship in harbour is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. And I go, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're not one unless there's risk. And the risk has got different types of risk, and that is the risk of not knowing, the risk of not being in control, and the risk of being, dumbfounded about what to do next. But the one thing that we came back to, or myself and George there earlier, was we don't know everything. We don't know what we don't know. And when we find out what we don't know, we may never learn it. It may be that someone else knows, and we have to talk to them. We have to get them on board. We have to pay a bill. It might be a consultancy fee. It might not be given a part of the business for what might just be an application. But that hurdle, that bill, that unknown something that we are not the experts in might be the reason we gave up, because we can't solve that problem. But if we can identify it, then that's what our job is to do, is to find out the person that can, and what the cost of it is, and fight through with perseverance that hurdle and get the job done and get to the opportunity. Back to you.
Yeah, well, I know that you were talking about, going off and whether giving up was going to get another job. And there have been times that in my past where I've had to go off and get another job because that was the only way I could sort of generate the income. And it was like I'd hit a brick wall and I had to change a different direction. But I know that every time that I found myself in working in an institution, they would then try and impose their ways of thinking, which obviously that's the way they do things. But I found that I was dying within because I like to solve problems. I like to do things. I like to come up with new ideas. And even if those ideas got shot down and we didn't move in that way because somebody had a better idea, if I could be part of that process, I thought that I felt alive. But as soon as that wasn't happening, as soon as I was being shut down and no ideas that I was having were being implemented and I couldn't get that, I felt uneasy, I felt agitated, I felt frustrated, and in the end it led me to being outside again, because that's where I could be creative. It's where I could start to see how do you solve problems. And that's really, when I've been working with clients in the past, it's always been how do you solve the problem that they have, which is that you save money. And again, it has to be a business, as long as you can actually generate the income you want to as well, which is why I'm seeing what we're doing now as being a way forward, because there are things I'd like to see, is it possible? I would like to find out. I don't know all the answers, but I know I've been on a journey for a very long time, and we're getting so close to seeing those answers being realized and implementing those ideas collectively. And, we seem to be we're coming from opposite ends of the spectrum, but we seem to have a parallel idea of where we want to go with things. And that's where it's quite exciting to be on the journey. To be on the journey with someone else with similar sort of views and similar concepts is actually quite fascinating, because that is what stimulates you and encourages you to go on and keep going. But we're not going on blindly. We are testing things out. We're trying out where does this avenue go? Where does this other avenue go? There are the frustrations that sometimes the algorithms keep getting changed, and we're now recognizing that on a regular basis, that we see algorithms changed, and we kind of go, right, does that mean that we have to constantly keep changing our patterns? And I know from working with one platform where I was generating a nice little bit of income and it was steadily growing up, that all of a sudden they changed their algorithm and I got 10% of what I'd got the month before. And it couldn't build up, and it became more and more frustrating because you were putting more and more effort in. And at that point, I kind of went, actually, I can't do what I needed to do to generate the income, because I'm having to put so much time into it that I can't achieve the goals that I need to actually achieve. What we're doing at the moment, although it seems to be that we are using up quite a lot of time, we're being very, very efficient in the hours that we have to generate the videos that we're producing. Each video, that like these half-hour programs that we're doing now, in its own produces a half-hour program, and then we slice it up into smaller chunks. And we're also potentially seeing how we could use some of that material for other, and repurpose it for other marketplaces and the likes of, and other platforms. But we're becoming fine-tuned in the process that we're doing so that we can knock them out on a regular basis. And we do have to think a little bit about it. And it's great to have two minds. Like, we've just gone through a process where I've been editing a couple of 2-minute pieces. I've got one set of eyes that sees one sort of thing, and Garvin's got another set of eyes that sees another set of things. And collectively, as a collaboration, we can fine-tune that and make it even better than it was if we'd just done it on our own. And I think that's an important part of that kind of process of collaboration. But this is where I think it becomes more enjoyable, because we are working towards something. We're seeing the fruits of what we've done. We sometimes question, where are we and what have we done and what have we achieved? We've seen a year go by. I think in our current timeline, which is not the timeline of it going out,
that's worth 10. It's like we're in dog years at the moment. So, I mean, that's worth 10 at least.
Absolutely. Well, Garvin just got a thank you, a congratulation on LinkedIn for a year of the Film Production Academy. So there you go. And
thank you very much.
But it's just a year has gone by. Where did that year go? And you sit there and kind of go, right, okay, what did we do? Oh, goodness gracious. We developed a whole website. We developed and shot and edited. At the moment, this is episode 55 episodes. Times that by 3, we over 150 short 2-minute pieces that we produced as well. So we've done a lot. We've also filled in lots of applications. We've been talking to quite a lot of people about what we're doing. We're fine-tuning our concepts of what those programs were that we developed over a year, nearly a year and a half ago, that we were working on. And we're still on track to what we wanted to do then. In fact, we've revisited some of those ideas recently, and they've become more and more concrete. They're exactly where we wanted them to be. And then we've realized that, as I've looked at some of the documents, that things like the master's degree element that we were looking at is actually where we wanted it to be as well. So we are on track, and it's just a case of being resilient and carrying on and making sure we push through those hard walls that we have in front of us, those obstacles.
Now we have to have the team behind. I'm listening to you, and I know LinkedIn has congratulated me based on my little dates of start and end of being, you're a year at this, great, congratulations for a year in your role. And my wife walks by the window going, what the hell are you at? What, a year at this shite? What are you doing? I mean, what have you done? Because no, actually, she doesn't watch any of the shows, doesn't listen to any of it. So therefore, I'm sitting in a room with George in another virtual room, and as far as she's concerned and the family's concerned, is you've done nothing. You've done you're in the room. That's the understanding to friends and family that don't understand what's going on under deep waters, in the complexities of programs and production and marketing and create relationships. Because of the pandemic, we were reaching out of the virtual room. Had I left the room physically, they would have understood it better that you're not here, you're somewhere else, you're working on this, you're doing stuff, and lots of stuff is happening. Even though we're sitting here in the virtual rooms, we're getting more done, having never left the room, because everyone's in the room, in the other part of the virtual space in their respective rooms. And we're all talking like we've never talked before and meeting in these Teams type of environments and Skypes, and they're more available because they're not having to sit in cars for 2 hours a day. So we are traveling faster in a slower methodology on the basis of access and availability of people to listen and chat where they wouldn't have done before. It's very similar to the last property recession in the sense of the world stalled for a little while and people lost their jobs or slowed down, but they actually started to reach out and try and make new connections because they had more time in their hands and could give you more time. So we're finding in the last number of weeks that we can talk to people and they'll give us more time. And they understand better versus where we are now versus where we were then. They can see evidence and understand they can take that for granted now and have a conversation, or knowing or feeling that you can deliver on the story, that they don't have to go off and fill in the gaps themselves. The evidence is there. Check a website out, check your profile, see where you appear in social media, Google you. Do you turn up? How do you turn up? Where do you turn up? What are you saying? Is it consistent? And that's, we feel, to others it looks as if we've done very little, but then in this world of social media, it knows you exist and from where to when. And now you can actually talk to the horse. And the horses are all running towards you instead of away. And what's interesting is the conversation is at a much higher value. It's not, hello, weather forecast. It's nearly going straight to, we have these problems, we need solutions, or how can we help you or sell to you because we see you should need what we have. And it's a nicer conversation. The doors are a little bit wider open than before. The believability of story of, can you deliver, can I trust you, is starting to align with the expectation of minimum expectation of relationship. People want to be able to trust you. They want to do business with you, but they can't afford to take a risk because of the environment. So this de-risking of that relationship worry is what we find most of our job is in this year. And we're actually enjoying it. And it's going to take my friends and family a lot longer to understand. The evidence is in the money in the bank at the end of the day to an awful lot of people. It's after everything is done. It's not the amount of work that went into it. So back to this little thing here. We're not at sea. We set out to sea. What's out there is a lot of fog, but we can hear, we can see, we can hear there's Titanics in the background, but there's also those super yachts. They're out there in the same fog. So we can go blaze a trail or we can sink with the Titanic, but we're not aiming for the Titanic. There's no icebergs where we're going. There's a super yacht. It's out at sea. It's in the fog. and we want to dock with it. And we're thinking big we're thinking high value, we're thinking boutique, we're not thinking rowing boat. We're in a rowing boat, but we're rowing out to the super yacht.
Very visual. That's very visual. We'll have to make a movie of that one. That's going to be something that's going to be quite exciting.
Any time now. Yeah. The only way I'm going to get on that yacht is if I'm an extra. And basically,
as long as it's not the movie The Calm Sea.
Sailor uniform.
Yeah. Is it The Calm Sea, or one of those ones where the yacht was actually the dangerous place to be? Probably more dangerous than the Titanic as it was sinking, because at least you go and play the violins with the rest of the the band. No.
Now again, back to storms at sea. You're going, no, we want to be out there. If there's no storms, we have to be able to survive the storms. That's the perseverance you were talking about earlier on. It's going, we're setting out to sea. We're leaving dry port. There's no adventure there. There's no entrepreneurship there. There's nothing to be had. Everything is set sail. Go on a voyage. This is the one we're on. We're not going back. We have enough provisions. We want to go, to that little island, or we want to go dock with a super yacht. We don't want to join the Titanic out at sea. So we know where we're going. The fog is clearing.
Well, I think that's important, because one of the problems is that a lot of people start panicking about what they think the future is going to be, because it seems to be, a lot of people seem to be very pessimistic about things. But in reality, it's actually a mindset as well. It's not that we're going to be overly positive. We need to be realistic. But we need to have our eyes open to see what those possibilities are, and actually take advantage of them as they come along. And I think as we've been going this last year, we're getting more and more confident about the processes that we can do and how we can relate those to other people, so that they can see the value in what we're doing, and that we have something well worth engaging with, that we can actually offer. And that's the exciting bit, because it is becoming more solid. The more and more we work through this, the more and more solid it actually becomes. It's not just something that's wobbling around out in the sea with nothing there. We're actually putting down solid anchors. We're actually able to weather the storms, the hurricanes that are coming towards us and all that. And we can go through those okay, because we've developed certain strategies and tactics that we know that we can sort of, work our way through it and achieve what we actually need to do. And again, from what we said earlier on, the simple fact that it's not just one person trying to take this on board, we're going as a team, and we're looking at building the team gradually as we go along, and seeing how we can help other people in different ways, unusual ways, And I think that's what the internet's now bringing up to us, is that there are different ways that we may not have thought about before, because we're able to engage with other people the way we are through the internet, through Skype and the likes of, that we'd never had the opportunity to go and talk to. If you'd gone out, you might have, you could be quite a few hundred miles or thousands of miles away from some of the people. Now we're literally a couple of inches away, because we're in the same room, because we're just on the other side of a screen. And I think that's fabulous. And the number of conversations that we're actually having builds our confidence in the fact that they actually trust what we're saying. We're beginning to realize there's some value in what we've got to say and how we can help those people out. And it will actually move us forward. And we've talked about this before, about the engines, and that will actually motivate us and keep us going. So when we do, hopefully we're not quite in sync, because sometimes when you have your ups and downs, there's a wave. We've talked about it before. If we're slightly out of sync, that's okay, because when one person's on a high, the other person may be in a low, it can actually bring the other person up and chivvy them in. So when the other person goes down, it's backwards and forwards. And I think that works really, really well. It's important to develop the team. No. And it's important to actually get that working right. It's important to have the right personalities within the team. Not that everybody's yes, that, you have the challenges. The challenges are really good, because it makes you think outside the box. It makes you think in ways that you wouldn't have done before. If you've got people that are just yes, then maybe you're going to go under. Because if you're just sort of talking the same way and you're not exploring other possibilities, you'll do things the old way. And as Garvin's constantly talking about, you fall into your silo, and then if the water's piling up, you'll just drown like you would do in the Titanic. So I think it's important to have people that challenge your ideas, encourage you to learn something new on a day-to-day basis, which is what I think we are. We are going one step at a time. We're getting closer and closer to those goals that we've actually set ourselves a year or two, 2 years ago now. Can't believe that. It's 2 years ago since we set out to do this. It's only a year ago since we set up the Film Production Academy, but it's 2 years ago that we've been on this journey. And actually, I believe now that we're closer and closer to those goals, and we will actually start to see them in fruition. We'll start to see those things happen. We'll be building up an energy that will become contagious, more so than this virus, and we will infect other people with our enthusiasm to come and do what we're now doing. And
there's no cure.
And there's no cure for it. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry to say, you have to turn the TV off. Stop watching. Stop your notifications. Because once we get you, you will be addicted. It'll be a drug, and there'll be no cure other than keep on watching, keep on listening, and be curious as to what's the next thing is going to come out of our mouths and whether it's anything of value or another bit of nonsense. But at the end of the day, we want to be that you're curious, because there will be a gold nugget every now and again, and then the rest of it is fluff. But as long as there's a chance, it's like the lottery, as long as there's a chance of an unknown something that has a little bit of value, then you're hooked. There's a fish in the pond. You may keep on pulling out weeds, but there's a fish in the pond. There's a chance. There's a nugget. There's a gold nugget in that hill. We'll find it is in there. It's to find it. You won't get it every time, because I don't know what business that is. I can keep on delivering non-stop value. It doesn't. I don't believe that exists. There's a certain level of something. So this is not the product we're selling. This is just a little bit of hello, a little bit of personalities, a little bit of me too's, in the sense of if we can do this, then you apply the same thing to whatever it is that you do, be it life or business. It's more the fact to turn up. It's more the fact to persevere with life. It's to fight through the pain. If there's no pain, actually go off and find some. You're in the wrong room again. There needs to be an uncomfortableness about it. Otherwise, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not achieving what you could be. It's if you're happy with that, that's fine. Personally say, like my friend, he has the job, he has it boxed off, it earns X, Y, and Z, it's from 9 to 5, he doesn't have to leave the house, he can go watch Netflix. I'm not happy with that. I had that, I could find it in the morning. I might take a little bit more effort now given what's going on outside, but I know what it looks like, I know what the cost of it is, and I know what it'll pay, but I think I die a debt if that's what I settled for. We might end up with that, which won't be the worst. That will not be a bad thing if that's the worst you're going to end up with. But what's the best we can end up with? That option is not there for other people that sit in that silo. This could be a multi-million-pound play. We could be walking the carpets of like in Cannes, Monte Carlo, and Saint-Tropez, and Toronto film festivals in the future if certain roads lead that way. There is no opportunity for that other than a holiday for some other individuals. This is a possibility because we're building that amount of possibilities. Those are opportunities if we follow certain routes to market, and success. If we can deliver on certain successes, the more that we show and tell, then it might actually attract and become more real as others get involved. There's a certain size of something that we would be comfortable in and till our dying day be able to manage and control ourselves. But if you wanted to go one step beyond that for others and grow and replicate it in different countries, that capability could also be there and means it could lead to hundreds and hundreds of jobs. And why not let someone else do that if we create the model? So there's worst case scenario, we keep on doing what we're doing. We have a little show. We enjoy learning more, meeting new people, making new friends, getting access to opportunities and information that will lead to something else because we've stepped out, we've set sail. We're meeting others on the way that have set sail too. It's not going to Normandy in D-Day. It's actually, we're out there, and it could be a pleasure cruise, or it could be, the new Columbus, and we're going to find new worlds. Actually, I think that's more aligned with what we're doing. We're in a search for new worlds because the area we're working in isn't stories that don't exist yet. That is creativity that's sitting in a box that wants to get out and be made real. And the skill sets we're going to wrap around that is going to be the jobs and the journeys of relationships to want to make real other people's dreams and visions, so other people, the consumer, can consume on Netflix or the Amazons that little bit of entertainment, something that made them think or cry and laugh. And that's the world we're living in, as opposed to a 9-to-5 job that has a certain level of comfort that is fine for others, But we're self-inflicting this on ourselves. And a year or something was research. And the second year was figuring out what it looks like. And the third year is living the story. And the fourth year will be living the dream. And we won't be giving up. We're going to persevere. We may give up with massive aspirations, but we will persevere in the journey of what works. And again, as opposed to what doesn't. It won't be we'll be looking to sit in a room and get a job and give up, because that to us wouldn't be living. Well, I think.
Yeah. What's interesting is that if anybody has sort of gone through and listened to our podcasts and watched the video blogs that we've been doing, they'll see a massive, great big
whoever
difference.
These nutters are, yeah.
Yeah, well, but they'll see a difference between where we are now and where we were then. And I think one of the great things about this is what's exciting is that we're starting to look. We're developing. We've reached a certain point, and now we want to explore in a slightly different area ways of doing this. And partly it's about talking to other people, but we're experimenting. We at the moment we're using green screens so we can put things behind us. We've mentioned that before. But I've been looking at how people are using sort of front projection or images that are behind that are recorded. So the little things that we can start to say, okay, we've done this. What about this next stage? How will that help us with eventually the dramas that we want to do? Yeah. So we're now starting to say, okay, well, this next selection of shows at some point will be done in a slightly different way. And we'll experiment with that and see what happens. We'll experiment with how do we get really good images and stuff from other people that we want to get involved with what we're talking about as well. So we can start to expand out further, and we will get to where we want to go. And I think as we bring more people in to collaborate with us, they will eventually be learning from what we've done. They can build their skills, and that will allow us to go off and develop the other skills that we have. And I think where we're at now, it's not about giving up. It's not about changing course as such. What we're looking at now is what are the new skills that we need to get to the next part of the journey and to reach those goals, because they require another set of skills that we need to now bring on. Now, I must say, a year or so ago when we started this, I actually I couldn't get my head around some of the social media ways of working. And I think in the last year, my confidence in that side has now began to improve, and I can now see where we can produce different types of content. And we've been producing a whole range of content, from videos, even a bit of animation at one point, and now the still images that we're generating, and we're again being flexible enough to move with the tides as the tide changes, but still see how we can keep on target with what we wanted to try and achieve. Even though the markets may seem as though they're moving around quite a bit and they seem a little bit unsettled and a bit unstable, we're still seeing, okay, but if we can learn these skills, we can actually still navigate through those choppy waters at this particular point in time. And that's where we're going now. But we're enjoying it, and it's keeping us to a point where we feel alive. There are little things that come along and knock us off balance a little bit of every so often, but that's part of life. And you become, again, resilient just because you're working with other people and you have a chance to talk those ideas through with that other person that you have with you. Both Garvin and I, we're talking to ourselves. We're helping out each other that way. We also have our own partners outside in the real world, where our wives and our kids and all those, and they encourage and well, definitely mine are encouraging me along this path. They're quite pleased with what they're seeing. And likewise, I'm quite pleased with where I'm seeing they're going. And through the discussions we have with them, we get other ideas that help us sort of move things forward as well, especially if they are challenged by what we're doing. It then gives us an excuse to actually try and explain a little bit more if necessary, but also eventually show instead of tell. That's where we're moving towards that. We can now show you what we're doing. And if you want to invest a little bit of time, you can see what's going on, as opposed to just us telling you all the time what's going on. And we will, I believe, in the not too distant future, start to see some results of all this effort that we've been putting in hopefully financial ways as well, which would be good.
No, this is a lot. I think this is actually the lockdown series. So we didn't realize at the beginning.
Yeah.
We were just you pushed me into starting. Garvin, start talking there. We start recording. And as I said, 55 episodes in. And if anyone's, I pick them at random when I'm driving in the car, drop the kid. Well, they won't listen to it when I'm driving. So I drop them off. And when I'm driving back, I might listen to a show at random. And again, I hear things I've never heard before. And it's even my own voice, or I might not even recognize my own voice. And it's George's voice. As I said before, I'm hearing him for the first time in this show. And I'm listening. And if anyone that's listened or watched any of the shows, they'll realize that I never ask a question asked. I'm like Billy Connolly. I'll answer it somewhere later. It might be 3 questions after. But when you add it all together and put it in a circle, yes, all things were addressed and all things were answered, but not in the order you thought. So that's why there's a little bit of, there's no straightforward anything with us. If you catch any of us on our own, like there's something interesting George is saying or I am saying, but if you put what he said in before what I said or him after me, they won't actually necessarily be aligned and go, how is that an answer to that question? What's he talking about? But if you just take it in isolation, you might go, oh, that's interesting. And that's the weird thing we're finding. Our little promos on their own have a different value of something else, and we've nearly got to figure out what the question should have been and put it in afterwards. But we might do that at a later date. But what I'm getting to is this is what we're doing. This is our diary. This is a diary of a startup, of 2 individuals in lockdown in their mid-50s, creating a new something that will provide a solution for themselves initially, that will deliver on the asks that weren't being delivered by previous jobs or roles. And it's tougher. It's a hard route. There's no easy part of it, but it only works. The 2 of us found each other, and there's other people around. And that journey has been made better by these people facilitating and understanding that, like, we are animated, we're passionate. Every time, if someone makes a mistake of looking at us, I'm on full 110% going, it's brilliant, it's this, we're that, we're the other, and this, and then and that, and the other, and what if, and they're going, no, just show me the money, come back to us with the evidence after the fact, 4 years from now, just show us the customer, show us the money, because we don't need to understand, because we're not interested in the hows or the whys. That excites you. We just want to watch the program. What program did you produce? Can we watch it? Where is it? And then you don't exist to them unless you can show them that. And we're going, no, it's going to take us 5 years to finance that. And they go, don't care, come back. And that's what we understand. So sometimes I get a little bit down when the person I'm talking to doesn't get as excited as how we, and it's sure coders are like that. They're getting off on nuclear physics and how far the star is away from here and how many years it took to, and you're going, and the star is already gone. You're going, so what? Is there any aliens? You go, I mean, it doesn't resonate back with us. So it's back to your target audience. They're not interested. What are they interested in? They want to see the program. Another bunch might go, well, I want to turn up. Where's the course? Don't talk to me till you have the course. We're saying it'll be there when you get there. We're going, well, don't talk to me till it's there. And so the time, there's a different audience for a different time. So those who are excited about us now are those that understand what it is now and can see the potential of where we're going to be. And that's where you've got to realize any sort of business you have out there, it doesn't matter if you have a hiccup in a point in time. This is not the end of the world. It's where will you be in 2 years' time when everything fixes and things go right and you address the problems at hand. And I was talking to a couple of people in the last couple of days that were the captains of industry, CTOs in their firms and raised millions and other producer directors that have a catalogue of who's who of what and where and when during the past. Doesn't matter. That shows you've used your skill set great. You delivered in the past. That's absolutely brilliant. And that shows the potential. And all of our CVs say the same thing. We are capable of this if you let us or empower us. But if no one is doing that, you are powerless and then you feel you have no value, where you have the exact same value you had a second ago. But the thing is, if you're dependent on someone else to empower you, then you cannot start, you cannot deliver, you cannot start, you have no petrol for the engine. What I was trying to say to these individuals is, we've got to go off and dig a hole and find petrol, or we've got to come up with a new fuel source. If we can't get petrol, get a couple of horses and put it in front of the steam engine and let's start pulling it. It's a case of we've got to keep on moving till we find the new fuel. And we're the same skills we've always been. And actually, if we actually solve these problems, now we have those skills plus this extra learning. And for those that didn't try and solve the new set of problems, they have got stuck, and now you have moved forward. You have leapt forward. You have reset the playing field. And that's why I think we're getting excited again. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. It only matters what we're doing. And it doesn't matter if they can do a million things. We only need to do one thing right. And that's where sometimes we think we can do it. We can 100 things, but that is actually meaning we can do nothing because we're diluting it too much. We only need to focus on one thing and do it right and turn up and be believable to someone else. And that person be the person that understands at that point in time. And then when they believe it, the next person will too. And that's, I think, we're set to see in that sense, and we believe we're going to new land, and we will get there. And we have an oar, and we might even have an outboard motor. And the thing, and we've also got a sail. And when the sun shines and the wind blows, we will keep on moving. And we'll even build a boat along the way. But we're going, and therefore, I'm excited. We're excited. We're looking forward to new lands, and we don't know what the natives look like yet. As long as they don't kill us when we get there, it should be interesting.
Well, we've reached the end of another episode 55, and we've been talking about resilience, about how to make sure that you can keep yourself going. And the best way to do that is in collaboration with a partner who can actually help bolster you when things get tough. And I think what I'm also discovering is that as you begin to focus on the areas that you're trying to move forward, all those other things that aren't so important begin to sort of wane slightly. You put them on hold for the time being because the main thing that you're focusing on has now taken up all of your time, and that's the thing you're moving forward. We feel now that after a couple of years, we're beginning to be more focused. The things that we set up a couple of years ago are now starting to sprout up, they're becoming quite green in the areas that we want them to be. Other people are starting to take notice, and not too distant in the future, we will have a harvest, and we're looking forward to that. So thanks a lot, everybody, for listening to this show. I hope you look forward to the next ones, and please do go back and look at our catalogue of 54 other episodes that we have behind us, and we look forward to talking to you the next time. Bye for now.
All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.
Do what it says on the tin. Follow and share.